Welcome back to the Hot Healed Girl podcast. We just decided what we're talking about today.
We've had this one on the back burner and now it's finally coming to the forefront. And
Yeah.
I did tease it last one. So like that's fine. People are going to be
Yeah,
excited
it
about
kind of
it.
flows with the ones we've been doing, so
Yes. We've been talking a lot about emotion, a lot about energies, and
mhm.
now we are about to go into the energy behind hormonal imbalances. Or not all of it, but like some of it.
Not just hormonal imbalances though.
Well, yeah,
I
everything, but like
mean,
we'll start with hormones and we'll fucking tail off.
yeah.
Don't worry, we'll tail off. You know we will. Um, so we broke into this a little bit because I was listening to one of our other podcasts when I was editing it and like masculine and feminine energy and how it ties to your hormonal imbalance. Talk to me about it, hormone queen, hormone expert.
Well, like you just said, we did talk about this in the last
Briefly,
episode
yeah.
a little bit about how, because we did a lot. It's not out yet, but you guys will have heard it by the time you hear this. About how, I see just like these certain emotions connected with different hormone issues, like especially the thyroid, especially like estrogen dominance and things
Mm-hmm.
like that. And it's definitely something that I'm not going to say struggled with because I honestly feel like I still struggle with this sometimes. Is like balancing my masculine and feminine because I was very much in my masculine energy for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because like your masculine energy, it's basically characterized by like you're doing and you're achieving,
And
and
the
it's like
planning and the
yeah, it's like
structure.
logic and reason, and your feminine is more intuitive, and then you want to be more like receiving and allowing,
And flowy
because
and
yeah,
emotional. Yeah.
yeah, like obviously because like just like as a woman, like you are receiving like the man, and then you're like receiving his emotions and all that kind of stuff. And Courtney's over here laughing at me. It's not,
I know I wanted to think about I was like waiting for how you were gonna say it. Receiving the man was probably the most PG way to say
yeah. I mean, yeah, if you guys
it.
don't know what we're talking about, I'm sorry, but you should.
No, I was
But
like,
that's just how we're designed,
yeah,
That's just literally how it
biology.
works. Yeah, how it works. Um, but I think a lot of women get out of that mindset, and especially with the whole hustle culture and like
Mm,
boss babe culture and feminist culture. And I'm by no means saying that I believe that with the feminine culture you should make less than men, blah blah blah, whatever. That's not the case, and any man that I know doesn't think that either. Like, that's just not the case. But you do want to lean into your feminine energy. And also, if you are in your feminine energy, I feel like you can just accomplish so much more
oh
also
yeah.
because you're in your natural intuitive energy
Mm-hmm.
rather than being in. I mean, there's a time and a place for the masculine energy, but you don't want it to be like your leading dominant energy all the
Yeah.
time.
And we talk about this, but like we're not small men. Like we're not. So we
Mm-hmm.
operate differently. We truly are supposed to. And that's where I agree with you. I'm not anti-feminist by any stretch of the imagination, but like we've gotten away from that just in the culture we've gotten away from how we're supposed to operate because of the culture we live in because we're
Mm-hmm.
trying to achieve and do things the way men do and like we just should do it differently. Like
Yeah.
we can absolutely make as much, we can make more, we can do whatever, but like our bodies, our cycles, we just are different and there's nothing wrong with that, so we should lean into that more than resist it. So like you said, the masculine energy is like very much the doing, it's the structure, it's
Mm-hmm.
the planning. So like in a disempowered state it can look like the overthinking, the over planning, that sort of thing,
Mm-hmm.
which right, like
And
I
the
get it.
need to
I'm
like be busy and have a full calendar all the
yeah,
time. And
yeah.
this goes back to like something that I'm really passionate about too, like tying it back into the hormones, is cycle syncing. Like I talk about cycle syncing all the time, and
Mm-hmm.
I love cycle syncing because as I mentioned over and over, men run on a 24-hour hormone cycle. Women run on a like 28 to 32, like depending on how long, but
Yeah.
our hormones fluctuate. It is never the same day after day. And that's why we do not thrive on the masculine energy and like structure
Why a
and
lot of us
planning.
don't thrive on 9 to 5s.
Yeah. And busy all the time. And I know a lot of women that, and they feel guilty because their schedule is not full all the time, or
Mm-hmm.
they don't have something to do every single day, but then they're burnt out like by the end of their like cyclical month.
Mm-hmm.
And if you actually coordinate that with your hormones, you're just going to naturally flow more into feminine energy, but you're also going to be able to accomplish the same or more. You're going to feel better. Your hormones are going to be better. You're going to be happier. So everybody else around you is going to be happier. You're going to naturally attract more of what you want.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't have to work as hard. You don't have to have a full schedule all month long.
I
Like,
know.
what if like the week before your period, you could just chill out and take a nap and like go to yoga classes because you made enough money the other 3 weeks, or you did everything that you needed to do. Like, why wouldn't you want that? So that's why I'm such a big fan of cycle thinking.
And I mean, it's real. So when we get out of our masculine, so masculine, feminine, it's the yin and the yang, right? Like they both need to coexist together. We need both, right? Like we're women, but we also need masculine energy as well. We need the feminine and the masculine. And men aren't just masculine all the time. They need the masculine and the feminine, right? They need both aspects. And a lot of that plays into our hormones, because when you get out of whack, your hormones can get out of whack too, right? Like if you're too in your masculine, a lot of people can, have excess testosterone, excess androgens, things like that.
Yep.
And then vice versa too. So we're just talking to the energies so that you can understand like where you sit on that spectrum. Are you an overthinker? Are you an overplanner? Are you someone who needs to like to be busy all the time? You need that go, right? Like you run on cortisol. I get it. Been there, done that, right? Like say it all the time. That was me. And also if you're an entrepreneur like us, it's very easy to get into the masculine dominant because we are the person who runs our business. Like it's very easy to get into that because you're working all the time and you're structuring and you're scheduling and blah, 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 blah. But it's important to also include like that feminine energy. So my favorite analogy is that like the masculine energy is like the river, and then the feminine energy is the water, right? Like we need the structure and the water. We need both. And so the feminine energy, the emotional, the receiving, the flowy, the creative, like that sort of thing. So like, how can you balance your masculine and feminine energy? And so disempowered from that state means like lack of creativity. There is no flow, like too structured, overly emotional, clingy, like that sort of thing. And these are just like brief, like really, really top of the, just brushing on top. But where do you sit on that spectrum? Like where can you find the room to allow both? And like you said, I think it's so easy for us to get, because if you work 9 to 5, in my prior life, I woke up at 5, worked out, went to 95, went to my 9 to 5, did my side hustle afterwards, and then went home, right? Like there was no room to flow and play. Like where could we have included room for that?
Yeah. And I see that with so many women that have a 9 to 5, especially, and even like entrepreneurs when they're like trying to grow their business. Because I've been guilty of that too, like feeling like I need to work every single day, all day long to like grow this thing that I want to expand. But then even though I just talked about how I'm such a big fan of cycle syncing, I end up feeling burnt out because, like you said, I don't allow myself that time, like just for myself.
Yeah. That like creative time or whatever else.
Yeah.
Or the flowy or the honestly just rest and receiving.
Resting. I mean, I just sometimes make myself just sit down and read a fiction book, like just so my brain is not like in creating or learning mode.
And so I love fiction I love fiction. Like you're not gonna hear me get rid of that, but like, do you ever just sit and sit?
Mm-hmm.
I was like, do you ever just do nothing? Because I love fiction. But for me, I know it's advice. Like I know when I go for that, I'm like, oh, I'm not doing anything. And I'm like, no, you're still distracting yourself. Like you're still not receiving. Um, it's just like key to also get into that receiving energy, which I feel like we don't do enough. Like you said, like we receive the man, but at the same time, like how are you receiving energy from other people? How can you receive support?
Mm-hmm.
How can you just like receive? Like for some people, it's getting their hair done, their nails done. For me, it's massages or energy healings or things like that. But I find that so many people are out of whack and that they don't get anything done for themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Like self-care is phenomenal. Doing your gua sha stuff is great, but it's not you physically receiving anything.
Yeah. And I think you mentioned asking for help. I think that's a big one too,
Mm.
because women have such a hard time with that. And like I was Little Miss Independent. Like I
Mm-hmm.
can do it all. I don't need help. I
Mm.
can manage everything. And I think after getting married, that was honestly one of the biggest biggest things that I had to learn. I was like, just because I'm the woman doesn't mean I have to do all the cleaning, do all the laundry, do all the dishes, and then still, like do my work all day long. I was like, I had to learn how to be like, hey, you like doing this or helping me with this would just really help me out and make me feel more relaxed. And honestly, that's what men need too, because in their
I was
like
gonna say that's
masculine
literally what they
energy,
need because that is the
yeah,
masculine energy.
yeah, they don't want you to be like, oh, well, whatever, like I'm fine. I don't need help. I'm like, whatever. No, they need a list. It just if you tell them what you want them to do, usually they'll do it. But they need
Yeah,
to know what you need.
they can't read your mind. I tell people that all the time. That was my favorite tagline with my ex. I would be like, I can't read your mind, right? Like he couldn't read my mind. Like we needed to communicate and, that didn't work out,
Mm-hmm.
but it doesn't matter. I used to always say it and he used to get annoyed to the point where I was like, I can't read your mind. Like talk to me.
Yeah.
They can't read your mind.
Mm-hmm.
Tell them what you need.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, that's part of it. That's part of them getting into their masculine energy. And that's not us trying to like tell them like, oh, you're not in your masculine energy enough. No, just ask them to do things for you. Just be like, hey, listen, like I love it when you do the dishes. Like, do you mind helping me out? I can't do it. I'm struggling to do it all.
Mm-hmm.
We can say things in a loving way. We can let it not get to a boiling point.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah,
that
don't be
allows
like
us to receive.
yeah, don't be like lecturing them about that because they're not going to receive that well, but just be
No.
like you said, just hey, I'm feeling really overwhelmed or just like mentally I'm overwhelmed and you doing this task for me would just really help me out.
Yeah. And like maybe you're like, well, they should know. Okay. But also they'll never know if you don't tell them.
Mm-hmm. And like my guy, like he deals with so many things at work and like has a second business and so he's dealing with that too and he's just thinking about all these things all the time and he has a very ADHD brain and so it's just 100 miles a minute and he blurs out everything that does not need to be in his brain right at this minute. So if I need something from him, I have to tell him what
Yeah.
I want.
And like it's easy to get into routines where you're doing a lot or whatever, but like there's nothing wrong. Like when we started doing this work from home situation, I know I had to be like, hey, listen, like I have no problem making breakfast. And then like I need you to make lunch. Like I can't do it anymore because then at the end of the day, I'm like, I worked 2 hours because I was making all the food and doing all the dishes because we didn't meal prep. We do now, but it just didn't work. I was like, hey,
Mm-hmm.
listen, and he didn't even realize because he was tunneled in on work.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm overwhelmed. I can't not work. That's not like how this works. And he was just like, oh, thanks for telling me. And I was like, cool. I didn't have to blow
Yeah.
up about
And
it. I
and
just need to ask for help.
that's how most men are.
And then I'm like, yeah. And then we trade off making dinner, which actually he makes dinner more than I do because I usually work because of all the time zones, right? Like he
Mm-hmm.
only works with people in the Eastern time zone. I work with people all over. So I usually work a little bit later. But so how else can we get into our masculine or feminine? I'm just going to say more so getting into feminine. or shifting from disempowered masculine to empowered masculine, just because I feel like so many of us are just in our masculine, like so in our masculine.
Yeah.
So how can you shift into your feminine? Can you play? Can you be intuitive? Like what?
Yeah. My favorite things are dancing, going
Yeah.
outside, singing, honestly, even just like bubble baths.
Ooh.
Or just like clothes that make you feel cute
Love that.
and feminine. And I was watching Organic Olivia's stories today, and she was talking about how her therapist told her that she needs to keep wearing this certain dress. And it was a really cute dress. It was like flowy and floral and just like summery. And she's like, because you need to be in your feminine energy right now, and this dress is going to help you do that.
I love that.
Yeah. And so, like, I have made more of a conscious effort to do that, just because like working from home, you want to just work in your sweatpants or throw your hair up, not do your makeup, whatever.
That's why I started doing my makeup more.
Yeah, I do that too now. Almost every day it's not like a lot of makeup, but it just makes me feel like more put together.
Yeah.
And more in my feminine. I feel more girly. I don't feel like a slob. Yeah, just throwing on a cute shirt, making an effort to buy more cute shirts and not just t-shirts and athletic wear, although I do feel cute in athletic wear. So
I feel hella cute in athletic wear.
Yeah.
So whatever you want to say, it makes me feel feminine as hell, but that's because like it hugs the curves and it's great.
Yeah.
I think that one of the main things like we don't do enough is like create space for creative time, just exist and play. Like no one does that. Why does no one do that? What's the deal?
I know.
Like, and dancing is huge too, right? Like dancing and like getting in your body, feeling yourself. That's great. But I feel like no one plays anymore, like just for the sake of like playing and having fun and like enjoying yourself. Like one of the things I've started getting into that I've loved is like thinking about what did I love as a child? Like what were a couple of things that I loved to do? Like for me, it was reading too. And knowing that like as a child, I wasn't imbalanced and stuff like that. So like, how can I incorporate more of that stuff back in? How can I get more creative again? How can I color again? Or like, I don't know, whatever being creative looks like for you.
Yeah. I was actually just thinking about that the other day because I was looking for something in like one of my old boxes because my mom was asking me about something, and I found like not all my, but some of my old like art stuff. And I'm like, oh, I need to start doing that again. Cause I literally remember like being 4 years old in my like schoolroom. We had like a giant table and my mom would just cover it with paper and I would like snip and draw and do all these things just all day long. And I loved all of that stuff. So I was like, I want to learn how to watercolor. So that is my new project.
Yeah. Like, how can we just be more creative and playing and childlike and fun? Like, that's how you can get more into your feminine energy. And like you said, also fashion can help you get into it. Usually it's brighter colors and flowier. Like, I love a good pair of jeans, but like they were created to be more masculine. I mean, women didn't even wear jeans till like the 70s. But if you feel feminine in them, that's great too.
Yeah.
It's like balancing those energies. So also if you're like, I need more masculine, like I'm just a flowy flower child, like one, I want to be you. But two, like how can you create more structure? Like, can you stick to a calendar? Can you like box out times to do certain things, right? If you're just like creating in your business and then all day you feel like you got nothing done, how can we create more structure? How can we do more doing? I mean, I'm not someone who needs more doing. I'm someone who needs more play, who needs more flow. For me, and what I've seen for quite a few of my clients, what's huge is masculine and feminine energy balancing in your workouts. So like the inherently masculine workouts are typically things like HIIT and cardio, like high intensity stuff, and also weightlifting. Sorry, not sorry. It boosts your testosterone. I love weightlifting. It's phenomenal for the body too. So this is not me hating on it, but like it is inherently masculine. Like it will boost your testosterone. It will get you more into your masculine energy. So maybe you're not weightlifting every single day of the entire month. I mean, we don't even think you should be doing that anyways, but like when you're closer to your period or when you're trying to get more into your feminine flow, like adding in lower intensity, Pilates, mat Pilates, yoga, right? Like not doing high intensity all the time is huge for balancing that masculine and feminine energy and your hormones.
Yeah. And going back to cycle syncing, like that's how working out with your cycle works. Like you
Yeah.
do that in more intense in the weightlifting in like 2.5 weeks after your period, and then you start to flow into more gentle things. So the yoga, the Pilates, sleeping, all that kind of stuff.
So I feel like I just need to say, if you have PCOS, lean more into your feminine.
Mm-hmm.
If you have amenorrhea, so lost your period for an extended period of time, lean more into your feminine.
Yep.
I would bet $1 million that if you have one of these things, you are too in your masculine.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, if you just look at the symptoms of PCOS, they are very like masculine dominant symptoms.
Yeah. Every single person I know with PCOS is type A, perfectionist, doer. Like I get it because I am and was the same. Like we talk about how this is the chillest I've ever been, and I'm still not chill. Like I'm not gonna lie, I'm still not a fucking flowy flower child, and I would love that, but like I'm not sure if that is ever in the cards for me. So I can be more feminine and more flowy and more childlike, intuitive, like receiving, but not ever be that side of the spectrum. And there's nothing wrong with that.
Mm-hmm.
It's finding a balance.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, that's what it's all about. Like I don't think you want to be completely feminine or completely masculine.
Yeah,
You
it's the
really,
yin and the yang.
yeah, you want, obviously, as a woman, you want to be a little more feminine, probably.
Yeah.
But like you said, you don't want to be just like flowy and just la 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 all the time.
Yeah. And so, like I said, I literally every single person I know with PCOS is one of those like doers, type A perfectionists. Like, how can you lean into your feminine side? And some of it, like we said, has to do with your partner too. Like, how can you allow them to be more masculine or ask them, like, listen, these are things I need from you, right? Like, how can you not control everything?
Yeah. And I think you just have to, that comes with a lot of just like opening up and conversations and talking. Yeah, just coming from personal experience, that's what we've done a lot of, and just communicating, like figuring out how your partner communicates, figuring out how they receive what you're trying to communicate, like how you can communicate it in a way that they receive it.
Mm-hmm. Oh my God, that's huge. Communication is literally everything. And I think that honestly, typically men and women don't have similar communication styles, right?
Yeah.
Maybe you have a partner who you do have similar communication styles. Every partner I've ever been with, we literally have opposite. So like it's important to get to know their communication styles, to meet in the middle, or if someone comes on over to more one side because maybe it's healthier, like just allowing grace and like helping each other communicate better.
Mm-hmm.
And also take your love languages quiz. Sorry, we all just need to know each other's love languages because that's also a part of communication, right? Like I'm a talker. I love to receive words of affirmation. That is the way I receive love.
Mm-hmm.
And my partner, words of affirmation is like literally the last thing on his list. Like he doesn't know how to, he still struggles to give them, but like he knows that that's something that means a lot to me. So he makes a conscious effort to try to give me words of affirmation because he knows that's how I receive love.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Like it's still not up there. Like he's still a lot of the times like he's acts of service. So like he will do acts of service. And then if I'm like, do you love me? He's like, what do you mean? I'm doing all these things for you. So like there's still an ebb and a flow to it. I'm not going to lie to you. It's not like we 100% get it, but like learn about your communication styles and learn about your love languages, how you receive love and how you give love.
Yeah, because you're like, you tend to do things that are your love language for other people.
Yeah.
But if that's not theirs, then they're not going to receive that as feeling loved.
Exactly.
Because, like you said, you want words of affirmation, but he is acts of service. So he does acts of service for you.
I'm like,
and you're like, what?
Do you like me?
That's not what I want.
I'm like, do you like me? And he's like, I'm literally showing you. And I'm like, well, that's not how I receive it. Mm-hmm. And again, we've talked about it. So like he is very aware and tries very hard, like writes me notes, writes in the cards, will send me texts when he leaves because he knows how much it means to me that I'm like, I need to be receiving these words.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, it's like we've been together for 3 years and it took some time. Mm-hmm. But so part of that, like I said, in your relationship, how can you be more in your feminine? Like, I am a doer, I'm a planner. I get it. I'm the calendar of our relationship. That I'm not going to give that up because he just doesn't like calendars and doesn't like sticking to time frames. So like I will still be the calendars, but like how can I allow him to do things for me and I just hang out? How can I allow him to lead and allow him to plan, but like so I'm able to receive?
Yeah.
How can I not micromanage? How can I just allow him to surprise me so that he's able to do it? Right. Like I'm not saying give it all up. I'm not saying like make them plan everything because then that might not work.
Yeah.
It's just like finding the room to allow the masculine and the feminine energy to represent in your relationship.
Mm-hmm. And don't get upset at your partner if if you feel like they're not like listening to what you're saying. And it goes back to communication, like find a way to communicate it to them that they're going to understand.
Yeah.
Because I see that conflict a lot. They're like, well, I told them once and like they didn't listen to it. So I'm not going to tell them again, or they're just not paying attention to me or whatever. You have to communicate it in a way that they're going to listen. And that's going to take probably some figuring out on,
Yeah.
or just asking them, like, how do you need to tell them something? Because I know some people that they physically need you to touch them when they tell them something, when you tell them something. Like it takes like that physical connection for like their brains to just process.
I also know some people you need to ask, like, what did you take away from that? Like, you need them to regurgitate it back to you so that, like, you're making sure you're on the same page.
Yeah.
Because they might say something back to you that's what they heard. And you're like, that's not what I said.
Yeah.
But it's what they heard. Like, that's what they heard from you. It's like maybe being like, oh, like, what'd you take away? Oh, like, can you just repeat that? Like, can you tell me what you thought I said? That sort of thing. Because, like, we're all freaking different. And let's be real. Men are from Venus, women are from Mars or whatever. Men are from Mars, women are from Venus. Yeah, women are from Venus. That's the one. We're from different planets. Like, Reed doesn't get your crystals. That's fine. We don't need him to. Magic rocks, okay? Like, cool magic rocks. We love that. But he knows you like them. So, like, that's all matters.
Yep. I don't get his video games, but like makes him happy.
Get video games. I will never get video games. I'll always just be like, but it's fine.
Yeah.
So yeah, ebbing and flowing, the energy, the masculine and the feminine, because that's going to really help you balance out your hormones and your whole entire life. Receive energy. Like my number one thing. I tell everyone, I'm like, you need to receive more attention, receive more love, receive more energy. Like just receive, be in the receiving energy. That also ties into money. So
hey, hi, hello. Like, she's calling me out over here.
I'm not calling you out. It's just like, I mean, I was doing
I'm calling myself out because
like a part of like, can you allow, do you need to know exactly how everything's going to happen and how it's going to come in? Or can you let life surprise you? Can you let the money just drop in and be like, oh my God, that's so exciting. I didn't even realize that bank account was still open. It has $3,000 in it. I received $3,000 this month. Like, I'm not saying that's going to happen all the time, but like, let it surprise you. Let yourself receive so that it can support you. Anyway, we're not talking about money. We totally can though, but hey, do you have anything else you want to add to masculine and feminine?
Honestly, I think that was pretty good. Like there's more you could go into it, but
one thing I wanted to say about disempowered feminine, weak boundaries is a huge one, and codependence is one too. So that's like being in your disempowered feminine, right? Like there's empowered feminine, there's disempowered. The empowered's the flowy, the energy, the creative. So anyways, yeah, think about those for size too. And then for the disempowered masculines, like the aggressive, the overly competitive, the person that thinks you need to compete in every single thing you do and that stuff. We all know some men like that. Sorry, we just do. I mean, I was like that too. So like I was hardcore in my masculine, but a lot of us are like, how do we get out of our masculine into our feminine? That's like one of the things just as like girl boss shit is phenomenal, but it
Yeah.
puts you so into your masculine.
Yeah, I was just going to say society has in the past 20 years very much pushed women into their masculine.
I'm so down for female CEOs. I'm so down for women running their own business. But like, also, when we're too in our masculine, I'm not gonna lie, money also doesn't support you, because if you think that you can't receive, it's not, I mean, it'll support you to an extent, but like you'll hit a wall. Like it won't think you're not giving out the vibe that you need support. It's not going to support you.
Yeah.
So make the most money you can, balance your masculine and feminine, balance your hormones, balance your masculine and feminine, heal your whole entire life, balance your masculine and feminine. Anything else?
Incorporate your hormone cycle into doing all of that.
Very true. Very true. Yeah, just as important, right? Like I've been doing more mat Pilates because I'm like feeling that I'm very much in the going and the doing, and I still want to work out, but I'm like, mat Pilates, it's like low intensity, very feminine. Like it's been fun. I've been enjoying it.
That is the key to make sure you're enjoying it.
I know, which that's a whole other topic in and of itself. Enjoy working out.
Yep.
And if you don't, find a new workout.
Yep.
And if you want to get into your feminine, do yoga and Pilates and mat Pilates. And by that, I don't mean do fucking solid core. Like I love solid core, but it's not Pilates. It's crack.
Yeah. I went to a Pilates class in like one of the Pilates studios down here. And I was looking at all of their classes and I was like, none of these are relaxing Pilates. Like this is not
it's the same thing for yoga.
They were great, but they're like not what you want when you want to do Pilates like before your period.
Yeah.
It is not. It was like HIIT Pilates because it was TRX Pilates.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So
same thing for yoga. When people are like, I'm doing yoga before my period, I'm doing hot yoga and vinyasa. I'm like, you're not getting into your feminine. Like hot yoga, no. I'm just also not a hot yoga person, but like also vinyasa, you're drenched by the end. Like, let's just talk about it. That's not that relaxing, gentle, slow flow, yin, whatever.
Yes. You want relaxing Pilates and relaxing yoga before your period, not that intense stuff that has become so popular. I don't know why everybody has to make all these workouts like intense. You have to turn it into something like intense. Like if you're not sweating or you're not jumping around, you're not doing enough, or if you're not burning calories.
No, I did like
your hormones need to slow down.
They need you to rest and relax more. I saw someone being like, I've started cycle syncing. I go to hot yoga the first day of my cycle. And I was like, no, that's not it.
I used to think like when I would see girls being like, oh, I'm working out on the first day of my period. I was like, wow, like you're amazing. And now I'm like, no, girl, just go to sleep.
Just rest. Like, I don't ever, if I'm bleeding heavily, I don't work out.
No. I
might start to work out towards the end, but
I might go for a walk, and that is the max of what I do.
You're like, I'm not moving.
No. I will take many, many naps.
And yeah, it's not it. It's just not it. Okay. You have anything to add?
No, I think that covered it well.
Okay. Where can people find you?
You can find me at Emily Joy Wellness, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. What about you?
At the THE Rooted in Health. Everywhere, anywhere, look me up. And if you liked this I was gonna say article, podcast. We would love it if you left a rating and review. We would love it if you subscribed on YouTube. We would love it if you shared it with your friends and family, shared on social media, screenshotted it, because that is how we can get it out to more people and more people can hear about us.
Yes.
Okay.
We would love to hear from you guys. So
thanks for being here as always.